Stand by. You're up.
World Soccer Radio is on the air on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. A fantastic Friday night of football talk as we get you set for what will be a very memorable weekend as we open the month of March. The calendar turns yet again, and we look and find ourselves that much closer to the conclusion of the season in the Barclays Premier League and other top European leagues. We'll have you covered. The upcoming BPL matches this weekend, a long look at those games. Plus, of course, the biggest game in England this weekend is not a league game. It's the Capital One Cup final, duh, and we'll talk to the man calling the game for BeIN Sports, Ian Joy, our guest coming up as Sunderland tries to pull a fast one, if you will, on Manchester City on Sunday morning. We will obviously have a whole lot of coverage of that game. It's a loaded weekend for BeIN Sports, and that's a reason why Ian is joining us. They have the Madrid derby. They have Milan Juve, PSG Marseille. Ian is going to be with us, and we will break down all of those matches. What a weekend. Wow. Incredible stuff. Give us a ring. 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY. Nick is out tonight. I'm Danny. I'm here with you for the next 60 minutes as we get you pumped up for the next, really, 48 hours. And remember, this is the last weekend without Major League Soccer. Our previews will continue next week, but next week we are back. The domestic game returns. Oh, we're fired up about that one as well. Thanks to those of you listening on the American Forces Network. Big ups to our troops around the world. Always a pleasure to be with you here, especially on this Friday night or Saturday morning, wherever you may be representing our great nation. You can also listen on iHeartRadio, on TuneIn Radio, or watch WSR, our streaming YouTube channel. Get those tweets in now, too. At World Soccer Radio. At World Soccer Radio. It's you. It's me. It's all of our friends tonight breaking down the week's big games. You can tell I'm pumped up. I'm fired up, man. It's Friday night. I mean, that's the first thing, right? What is there not to be stoked about? Just the fact that it's Friday, but a massive lineup of football ahead. I'm Danny Page. I will be your guide tonight on World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. We'll be right back. All right, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Bringing things in here on a Friday night. It's Friday. Let loose a little bit. Give us a call on the show, 800-878-PLAY. That's 1-800-878-PLAY if you like to do things the old-fashioned way. Or just send me a tweet at World Soccer Radio. My name is Danny Page. This is WSR on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. All right, so we're going to talk about a number of the European leagues tonight. We're obviously going to talk about what's going on in England this weekend, as we always do. I'll make some Barclays Premier League predictions for you fine people. Nick is the one, Nick Geber, obviously, the co-host of the show, the brains behind WSR, the man himself. He's out tonight. He's on vacation for the next week, actually. Good to give Nick a break, and happy that we'll be together as we lead into the start of the Major League Soccer season. Nick always begins the Friday show by telling everyone, very sarcastically albeit, to put their money on his predictions, and he is, trust me, he is sarcastic. We haven't exactly charted the way those predictions have gone this year, but at least for him, I'm guessing not very well. All right, before we get into the weekend fixtures in the league, before we look at some of these other big matches we enjoy, I want to talk about a league briefly that is pretty much over. It was not a race last year at all. It's not a race again this year, and I'm talking about the German Bundesliga. Bayern Munich, 25 points clear at the end of last season. They clinched the title on April 6th. That was a record for that league. They are now 19 points clear. They could even clinch things just as soon, if not sooner, than they did on their record pace. Their president came out today. He was part of an event and press conference, and he responded to criticism that, Bayern Munich has monopolized the Bundesliga, that, it's really unfair what they've done and how they've done it. And, I mean, isn't that sort of monopoly and that sort of dominance, isn't that exactly what every team in Europe is trying to achieve, right? I mean, what a misguided set of criticisms in my mind. And Bayern Munich, they have had a few thin years. Now, I'm not saying like Man City down to the third division, but it's not like they have been in the Champions League final every season the last 10 years. Obviously, they famously lost to Jose Mourinho and Inter now 5 years ago. They've taken part, of course, at this point in 2 finals in a row, yes, and they are arguably the most dominant team in Europe over the last few years. They probably not even arguably. They currently hold 5 trophies. Yeah, they're absolutely dominating, okay? But how do you criticize that? How do you look at a club and the way they've gone about things and say that there's not necessarily foul play, but just that something is amiss, something is wrong? I just can't disagree more with that attitude that we're seeing from critics of Bayern Munich. I think another thing about Bayern Munich that is very easily forgotten and lost, and I think the same goes with FC Barcelona in Catalonia, is that this is a club that is not owned by a billionaire sheik like Man City. It is not owned by a tycoon-like family in the Glazers at Man United. It's not owned by a Russian oligarch, okay? This club is owned by the supporters, by the people, and the club creates enough revenue to an extent, support financially what they put on the field and to allow the team to go out and, purchase some big-name players. I think first and foremost, when you look at a club that is owned and run by fans, at least the board is, fans play a part in the board and such. When you look at a club that is structured in that way, you have to have massive amounts of respect and admiration. But when that club can, set a record winning the league, 25-point victory, they win the German Cup, that 3-2 win over Stuttgart, we remember 1st of June last year, and then obviously the Champions League win over Borussia Dortmund. That was followed by the UEFA Super Cup and then the FIFA Club World Cup. A club can do that, and it's owned by the fans. It's not, some wealthy Russian has just come in and thrown everything to that. Now, that doesn't bother me what Chelsea has done, and I don't personally feel the need to criticize it. I love it. I love what Abramovich has done. He has a real zest and endless desire for successful football. But I think I think they do leave room open, obviously, to be criticized, and it'll be interesting how we look back on this period of mega-rich owners in football, too, because I'm not sure if owners just dumping money into a club like that is sustainable. Bayern Munich, though, it just isn't structured that way. And the Bundesliga, obviously, seems to be quite a bit more, I don't know, how do you say, soluble, I guess, than the Barclays Premier League with the whirlwind of ownership issues we see in England, albeit it makes the game more fun in England. But to go on to criticize Bayern Munich, just to me, doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. I'm sure they'll win again this weekend. They've won 15 in a row. Probably win again this weekend, and they'll probably win the next 4 weekends, claim the league title, and go forward. But I feel like Bayern Munich is run in the right way, and props to them in Bavaria. What a beautiful venue, the Allianz Arena, which was ready to go just in time. Well, I should say, they're German. It was ready to go well ahead of that World Cup. I think they completed construction back in 2001. What a venue, what a group of players, what a manager. Bayern Munich are going to be up there for a long time, and I just don't think unless it's sour grapes, I just don't think that people really have the right to criticize a club that is run the way the Bayern Munich is. All right, I wanted to get to that. It frustrated me, a little bit here. We're not really going to talk. We don't talk much about Bayern on this show on Fridays or Mondays because, frankly, there's not much to talk about in the league. They take on their greatest adversaries, and they just blow them away. So let's shift the focus to this weekend. Obviously, the big match, at least for my money, is the Capital One Cup final. I've been to Wembley. I went to the FA Cup final in 2009. I want to say Chelsea-Everton. And boy, that feeling when you wake up in the morning, and a lot of our UK listeners know that feeling. That feeling when you wake up in the morning. For me, it was the FA Cup, so it was obviously a Saturday. But the feeling when you wake up in the morning and you look and you know that you're going to Wembley. And this isn't even as a player. This is just as a Yank fan, as an American, a little American brat coming over to watch some soccer, man. That feeling to know you're getting on the train and you're getting off at the Wembley stop and walking up that bridge and walking to the stadium, it just gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? It's something we'll talk to Ian Joy about from BeIN Sports coming up. So for Man City, they expect to go to Wembley to one of the Cup finals at least every year. They are back to Wembley for a final. I want to say the third time in 4 years. That would be correct after losing to Wigan and beating Stoke in the FA Cup a few years ago. So City, they're used to this atmosphere. They're used to this moment. They probably really feel like they have something to prove. Obviously Sunderland have a ton to prove. We're going to talk about that. But City really feel like they have something to prove after losing to Wigan a year ago, late in the match. What was it, 88th minute winner? Something crazy like that. So normally it's the underdog team that goes in with the chip on their shoulder. But I think Man City really does have that chip on their shoulder this year heading into the Capital One Cup final. And a City team with Aguero back with the right amount of motivation, that's just a scary proposition, right? And I think City feel like they have a little bit more to prove as well after what was kind of an embarrassing performance against Barcelona. I don't think they were, in the end, entirely deserving of a 2-0 defeat, but they probably feel like they have a whole lot to prove. Gus Poyet says winning the Cup is more important than survival. I'm not sure he'll be saying that next week, no matter what the result is of the match coming up on Sunday. But Poyet is trying to rally the troops. And if Gus Poyet is able to come in for Paulo Di Canio, who's a total disaster, gosh, if he's able to come in for Di Canio and make a difference and take this team not only to Wembley, but to win at Wembley, boy, what a special run that will be for Sunderland. A lot at stake in this Cup final, a lot at stake for City and Sunderland. Trophy and glory is on the line, and we can criticize. A lot of people do criticize the League Cup, the Capital One Cup. But once you get to the final, it's just a great day out at Wembley for the fans. It's just a fine opportunity to often see 120 minutes of football. Good stuff, guys. Looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to Ian Joy from BeIN Sports. He'll be covering the match for the Al Jazeera-owned network coming up. Love BeIN Sports, love their coverage. Ian is, frankly, one of my favorite analysts in the business here in the United States, and I really look forward to talking with Ian. That's all coming up when we return right here, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. We'll be right back, guys. World Soccer Radio on the air here across the country on our Sports Byline USA affiliates. Streaming video, obviously, on YouTube, watchwsr.com. And happy to say we are delivered to the troops around the world in the American Forces Network. What up, guys? Pleasure to have you with us as we get set for what should be a thrilling weekend, really, throughout Europe. Obviously, eyes on the Barclays Premier League, but showpiece matches in all of the big leagues and a cup final as well. And here to chat with us about it is Ian Joy from BeIN Sports. Ian, it's a pleasure, my friend. Great to have you on.
Thanks very much for having me, boys. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, Ian, guys like us are excited about every weekend in European football, right? But this weekend, especially with your coverage on BeIN, you guys just must be going nuts over there. I mean, what a day Sunday is.
Yeah, I mean, this is the day you dream about, isn't it? I mean,
Right.
Sunday with all the matches that are going on, you start off with a cup final.
Right.
It's really incredible to see. Obviously, Saturday gives us a little bit of a preparation and leading up to that because we've got some good games on Saturday as well. And France, Saint-Etienne play Monaco, and then obviously Roma play Inter in Italy. So a couple of classic matchups, but Sunday is just, that's the day. I mean, with the cup final beginning it and then straight on to the Madrid derby, I mean, it's phenomenal football, and it's something we all cannot wait. This is what we love the game for so much.
You know, we're going to talk about the Capital One Cup at length, certainly. But as far as the Madrid derby, I mean, obviously the match everyone looks forward to all year in La Liga is Barcelona-Real Madrid. But I feel like there's such incredible buzz, and that world football in general, in some ways, is sort of rallying behind Atletico Madrid because they want to see one of the quote-unquote smaller clubs in Spain kind of break that duopoly, at least for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's that underdog mentality that you see with Atletico Madrid. And obviously the two giants that are always competing at the top of the table are Real Madrid and Barcelona, and they deserve to be that way. But Atletico have come in and they've rattled a few kgs. They've played some great football. They've got a great fighting spirit. A little bit disappointing in 2014, especially over the last month. They didn't play too well and obviously lost a couple of games, and they had an opportunity there to be sitting pretty at the top of the table and outright top leaders, but it's not happened, and they're still in with a shout, though. This game this weekend, though, against Real Madrid is an absolute classic. I think it'll be better than the Copa games that we just recently watched, and Barcelona might be the only team that benefits from this weekend with those two going head-to-head.
Well, we all benefit from from it as well. Great television, to say the least. You know, you've obviously watched a ton of La Liga this year. Talk to me about Diego Costa and how you think today he stacks up against the best strikers in the world, even including the individual he followed in Falcao and Cavani and Sergio Aguero, another former Atletico Madrid player. I mean, can Costa be right up there in, say, the top 4 or 5 strikers in the world, do you think?
He can be. He has the ability. He's obviously got the strength, and he has a good character about him. What we're seeing this season is a great response from Simeone, who's really trained and worked with him very closely, very hardly, to make him the player that he wants him to be. And this is the first time that he's broken 10 goals a season in his career, and pretty much scoring a goal every game, which is something very difficult. And we don't see it too often around the world, apart from the superstars with the Messis, the Ronaldos, the Ibrahimovics. So his name deserves to be up there this season. He's played incredibly well. He's a more experienced player. He's calmed down a lot. Last year, we used to see a lot of red cards from him. This year, it's maybe a more mature Diego Costa. And, of course, now he's enjoying his football. And that's the reason why Atletico are at the top of the table right now, is because Diego Costa's goals has got them there.
On the Real Madrid side, the conversation is always, Bale, Ronaldo, so on and so forth. But I think we're learning that specifically in Europe, in Champions League competition, that really a steely central defense in midfield is kind of what gets it done in the later rounds. So as far as both La Liga and in Europe, how has Real Madrid's back line been this season? How's Khedira playing in midfield? How are they defensively? How do they stack up with some of the other top teams, across the continent?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why they are so successful and managed to get themselves back into the title race, is because they've stopped conceding goals. I mean, all the way through
they were conceding them
under Mourinho.
They were conceding them terribly, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, they were conceding a lot of goals, and defensively it was a big problem. And they always seem to concede the first goal in a match, especially at home. But this season, it's completely different. Ancelotti has them playing very, very well. They're both fullbacks, and especially it's a good battle going on in the fullback position with Carvajal, who's coming in and done a great job. And, of course, you look at the two centre-backs with Ramos and Pepe, they look like a very good partnership together. They seem to be enjoying their football. And, of course, they've stopped the goals being coming in conceded. So they're now starting to play some good football themselves, and they really are in contention for the Champions League and, of course, really got themselves back into the race for the title. It's been a great watch. Obviously, the performances have got them back into that race. But in the Champions League, I don't know if you guys watched the game against Schalke.
Of course.
They were absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and if you're right. I mean, they were just shipping goals, obviously, earlier in the year and last season, giving up, 2, 3 in a couple contests a month, really. And now you mix that defensive record with Bale producing alongside Ronaldo. And also, the other thing is that they went out and bought some young players, and they're promoting young players up through the reserves as well to combine with the megastars, I think. And that's been massive also.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Ancelotti deserves a lot of credit for that. And he's also introduced a great deal of confidence to certain players that were not necessarily confident under Mourinho. And one player, for example, is Benzema. He started scoring goals. He looks like a different player. The players are rallying around him, and he scored 14 goals in the league this season and enjoying his football. Gareth Bale coming into the club, everybody questioned where he was going to play, and he's done incredibly well. He's fitted well into the team. He's already scored 10 goals in the league as well. But when you're talking about youngsters, this kid, Jesse Rodriguez, what an introduction he has. A terrific, talented player who's got a big future.
Yeah, absolutely, Ian. No doubt about that. Last thing on this game is Ian Joy joins us. He is the man from BeIN Sports, certainly one of the top commentators in the country, surely in my opinion. Last thing on this one, Ian, is how does Atletico Madrid approach this? Would they like to do what they did at the San Siro and come away with a 1-0 type victory? Is that the style, a tighter affair? Is that what they would prefer to do?
I think they'll try to make it a scrappy match.
Right.
We talk about it a lot with all the guys at BeIN Sports, and we're not quite sure how Atletico are going to go into this match. But they're on home soil. They have home field advantage, but we knew exactly what happened with home field advantage the last time they played when Real Madrid beat them 2-0 in the Copa game just recently. And they don't want that to happen again. It was 2 penalty kicks in that match, and probably 2 silly penalty kicks that cost them dearly.
Right.
But, of course, let's not forget that they went to the Bernabeu in the home tie for Real Madrid, and they beat them in the Bernabeu and played some very, very good football. So I think Atletico have to play their football. They have to be offensive, and they have to go for goals. Defensively, they're very solid. They have a lot of good players along that back line and a lot of experienced players, which should see them through. But the way that Real Madrid are playing their football right now, they seem to be a team that's unstoppable. And I think that Real Madrid might just nick this game. Yeah,
it certainly seems that way. Ian Joy, our guest from BeIN Sports. Obviously, the game that I think it's hard to outshine that match, right? But the one that we're also excited about is the Capital One Cup final. Are you calling that game, Ian?
Yes, I am. I'm
Great.
Delighted to be calling it alongside Ross Dyer, who I do most of my matches with here
Right.
at BeIN Sports. So it's been great. It's been absolutely fantastic, and obviously an opportunity to call the Cup final. We did it last year, and it was a joy to do. So this year, let's hope it's a little bit of a closer affair.
Right. One thing I talked about earlier, I went to the FA Cup final probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I said even from a fan standpoint, even some Yank American kid, you wake up Saturday morning, obviously with the FA Cup. In my case, you wake up that morning, and even just as a fan, you realize you're going to Wembley that day. I mean, what are your experiences with Wembley and obviously as a player, a broadcaster, a supporter, and such, and isn't there just something special about kind of that feeling in the morning and taking the train out there and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, Wembley's very special. I mean, when you grow up in the UK, and it doesn't matter where you grow up. If you grow up around the world and you love the game of football, you know what Wembley is all about. And you talked about it, your visit to the FA Cup final. You wake up in the morning, you're a little bit nervous and a little bit anxious. You can't wait to get to the stadium. It's a delightful arena. Unfortunately, I've never been to the new arena, but I've been to the old Wembley a few times to watch United play in cup finals, and I actually went to the Rumbelows Cup final way back in the day when Man United played Notts Forest and unfortunately lost. But it was an incredible occasion, and I was very young at that time. And Wembley is the theatre of dreams for me. That's where stories are made, hearts are broken. And obviously, you've got dreams. When you go to bed at night as a player looking forward to a cup final like this, you don't even have to be a player. You could be a fan, and you're so excited for this cup final. But you dream that night that your team wins the game, and I just can't wait for it. It's a great feeling. Obviously, City are clear favourites in this match, but Sunderland might spring a few surprises.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As City well learned against Wigan in the FA Cup final. We're about a minute out from a break, Ian. Can you hang with us a couple minutes to the other side?
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Hey, Wembley, obviously, but Hampton, that's your home. That's the real theater of dreams, right? Nothing like Hampden Park as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, Hampden Park's incredible. Of course, when Scotland were successful, 80s and 90s, they were a good team, good football. They were playing for the national team. Now, unfortunately, lost a lot of successful players, and things have changed a little bit for the Scottish national team.
Oh, man, good stuff. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on World Soccer Radio. Big thanks to Ian Joy for joining us the night before. A big weekend for him, man, on BeIN Sports. They are your home for this weekend's matches all across Europe. We'll take a time out here on the show. Send me a tweet at World Soccer Radio or give us a ring, 800-878-PLAY. My name is Danny Page. This is WSR. We'll be right back. All right. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. It's Friday night, guys. This is World Soccer Radio on Sports Byline USA. Bring right back in our guest, Ian Joy. Ian, again, thanks for hanging around the other side of the break. Kind of want to break this match down a little bit. A pleasure to have you with us, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Ian, Gus Poyet says today that the Cup final is winning the Cup is more important than staying up for Sunderland. Are you buying it, or is he just trying to fire his players up? And do you think he can do it? Do you think Poyet is the type of manager that can emotionally charge his troops in the same way Roberto Martinez did with Wigan?
I think he has to. He has no other option but to try and fire up his troops because they haven't had a good season. They've been really disappointing. But they do have a lot of good players in amongst their squad that can cause a lot of problems. And throughout the Cup competition, they seem to have shown a little bit of heart that has been lacking in the Premier League. And it's got them to the final. So there's every opportunity that he can fire up his troops to go out there and put out a good performance. Whether or not it will be good enough to beat Manchester City, I'm not so sure. But at the end of the day, I think the Premier League is certainly more important for a club like Sunderland because of the financial benefits that comes from staying in the league and TV rights and all that sort of stuff. But this is a cup final. So the players have been dreaming about an opportunity like this, and if you can walk away with a trophy, you'll be delighted with that.
When you brought up Wembley earlier, Ian, these are days, these cup final days are days that dreams are really made and legacies are cemented as well. You know, a hero who we may not even know will become a household name overnight. Well, I shouldn't say that we don't know, but that, they etch their name into Wembley lore, if you will. Ian, is there anybody that sticks out for Sunderland that maybe can be their hero? I know Barini has had a couple really nice flashes, but is there anybody that sticks out to you that can really be the difference maker in this match for them?
Well, I think we're all hoping that Josie Altidore comes out with a good performance.
I know. You had to say it. I wasn't going to, Oh, man, I love the kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a terrible season for Josie. I think it's a really disappointing season, even though he's made a lot of appearances. I think the goals are what matters most, and for Josie it's been very difficult in the Premiership, like it was his previous stint in the Premiership.
Right.
But they do have some good players, Sunderland, and of course Adam Johnson will be relishing the opportunity to play in this game, and he's obviously got a lot of goals in the Premier League so far, considering the table position that they're in. But they also have some really talented players. Giaccherini, who I've followed very closely over the last couple of years in the Italian league for Juventus, a very, very good footballer and can score goals on the big occasion. And then obviously Fletcher up front. But we'll see. Barini's one that's a little bit obviously disappointing. He's come over to England and not really done the business in the Premiership, but he can step up when it matters most and score the important goal. But you talk about players who can be the hero. There's also going to be someone, unfortunately, who's going to be the villain at the end of the day. And I hope that Sunderland can get the job done against City and make it a really interesting match. I don't think it'll be as easy as City fans expect.
Well, to me, the other thing that benefits City coming up in this match is that a lot of times a team like City would go into Wembley into an FA Cup final as they did against Wigan and think they're probably going to just run over their opponent. But I think City, because of that embarrassment last year, now they're not only significant favorites, but they too are playing with the chip on their shoulder that the underdogs have. And especially after the, semi-embarrassment to Barcelona a couple weeks ago, don't you get the feeling that City are really desperate to win this in some ways and get back on the trophy-winning track?
Oh, massively. You're 100% spot on. This is very important for Manchester City. They want to win a trophy. I think Pellegrini in charge there, he knows this is his opportunity to start maybe a legacy, what could be a very successful season in charge for him. But it won't be easy, like we've talked about it. Sunderland are a scrappy team. They make it very difficult, and they've already beat Manchester City this season. That was the one game that shocked everybody, obviously back in November. Manchester City seem to struggle in the games when you expect them to go out and win comfortably. They seem to make things a little bit more difficult. And I know they haven't lost too many games this year, Sunderland being one of the games that they did lose. But, against Blackburn Rovers in the FA Cup on the way to the game they're facing now in Wigan, they tied 1-1 before they smashed them in the return leg. And then obviously in the Premier League, we've seen them against Sunderland losing that game, and Southampton, wasn't a good performance. It ended up tying that match. And then most recently, they were disappointing against Norwich. They lost against Chelsea at home. And you mentioned it. They lost against Barcelona where they were completely outclassed. And it could be a season that's looking very promising for Manchester City. It could turn out to be a disaster. If they lose this final, and then they've obviously got big matches coming up, it may be a disappointment if they don't get the job done. So they'll be taking this game very seriously and a very positive step into having a successful season.
Right. I think that if you go and win this cup, then you're, looking at your mates in the locker room and saying, and on the training ground and saying, hey, we can win a domestic treble here on the run-in. You'll look at the next 10, 12 weeks and say, this can be the greatest season in Manchester City's history, whereas if you lose, then you start to maybe look around and say, boy, we have really missed some opportunities this season. It is that sort of fulcrum match, if you will, for City that can elevate them to, again, an incredibly memorable season, or it can just be another disappointing campaign.
Yeah, it's 100% correct again. I think when you look at the game, Sunderland obviously come as an underdog. But for Manchester City, they go in with a little bit of pressure on their shoulders, knowing that they have to win this game. Yeah. If they lose the game like they did against Wigan, they'll be criticised heavily, and it'll put them under a lot of pressure heading to Barcelona, and also ahead of the game they've got against Wigan in the FA Cup, where you hate to see them finishing with a terrible season because it's a terrific football team. They've got some great players. They score a lot of goals, and they don't concede too many goals, Man City. But this game is going to be important for them. They need to play well, and they possibly could win the game comfortably. But I really expect Sunderland to put up a good fight.
It's going to be a great match, Ian. Ian Joy will be calling it for BeIN Sports. We'll be watching you this Sunday. Thanks so much for taking some time out here on a Friday night and getting our listeners ready for the weekend. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks very much. And I love what you guys do. Obviously, it's for people like you that are making soccer such a big, big game here in this country. And keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it. And, hey, we'll be watching on Sunday. Ian Joy, take care, bud. All right,
cheers,
that is Ian Joy. What a guy! Again, he's a great commentator. I wouldn't be surprised to see us lose him to England, to Sky, to if he wanted it to maybe Barclays Premier League World Feed or something like. Ian's just an outstanding commentator. Great to have him on the show. Man City, if they were not in the League Cup final, Man City would be playing Man United this weekend. Wouldn't that be an exciting fixture given what has gone on? United obviously now have the weekend off and such, and boy, they could use that after what happened in Greece. All right, predictions. We'll run through predictions quickly. So there are obviously 8 matches, given the fact that the City and Sunderland matches are both postponed now. City and United coming up in about 3 weeks' time. I think in the Cup final, I think City will. They have that extra. That extra desire, they have that kind of feeling in their stomach that they desperately want to go out and win this Cup final. I think they run away with it. I think it's a 3-0 win. I'd love to see Sunderland win. It would be something that the Wearside fans would remember for a very long time, but I think City will win. Let's run through these games. We have about 5 minutes left in the show. By the way, send me a tweet at World Soccer Radio if you want to get in touch with the program. Everton hosts West Ham United. This could be a great one. West Ham has been involved in some thrilling matches. They just keep winning. I think they draw Everton 1-1 as they continue to sort of creep up the table. That's a nice start to the weekend. There are no lunchtime kickoffs all weekend long, which, lunchtime kickoff is 7:45 a.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. And in a lot of instances, there are either 7:30 Eastern or 8:30 Eastern kickoffs. That's Eastern time, of course, but there are neither date this weekend in the league, obviously, because Sunday's Cup final match. So there are 4 10 a.m. kickoffs. Fulham takes on Chelsea. Mitroglou didn't even make Felix Magath's team. This has all the markings of a beatdown. 3-0 to the Blues. Newcastle goes to Hull. I like Hull in this game. I think that it was nice for Newcastle to get back on a winning track. I think it'll be short-lived. I like Hull to win 2-1. Love what they did going out and getting Jelavic and Shane Long in the January window. How about Stoke and Arsenal? Arsenal just seem to be a team to me that can really frustrate Stoke. Excuse me, the other way around. I think Stoke can be a team that can frustrate Arsenal. I think it'll be an open, fun game. I think in the end it'll be a 3-2 win for Arsenal. Stoke scores some goals at home. This isn't Tony Pulis' Stoke anymore. This team, they get out and they play. Let's move to the final game on Saturday, the 12:30 kickoff. To me, this is the biggest. This could be one of the biggest games of the season for Liverpool. Obviously, the matches home to City and Chelsea will be huge. They need to win both those games at Anfield if they are to retain any real serious ability to win the league. But one thing I've talked about a lot on this show with Nick is the fact that Liverpool and a true Liverpool supporter really struggles to accurately handicap their team. They're so positive one moment and they're just so bummed out the next sometimes. And for Liverpool, these are the tough matches. The Southampton, I think they have West Ham United coming up soon. I think they'll beat City and Chelsea at home. I think they do have a lot of matches against teams toward the bottom of the table. I think they'll win those matches too. When you look at games against the likes of Fulham coming up in Cardiff and so on and so forth, not Fulham, just Cardiff, as they close out the season. Crystal Palace, I think they'll win those games. But it's the matches against the teams higher up in the table. It's the matches against sort of the mid-table teams, like a Southampton, that is very challenging. I think Liverpool, boy, I'd love to say they're going to win. I'm just not sure they're going to. I'll take a 1-1 draw. Nick's not going to be pleased with me on that one. Just at the moment when it seems like they are, in the league chase, or last year we thought maybe they would, be in late for a Champions League run, then they decide to disappoint you. All right, let's look at Sunday's games. I already predicted the Capital One Cup final. Less than 2 minutes left here in this segment. Aston Villa, Norwich, Ed Hart at Idaho United. East Anglian football, Manny, has Norwich winning 1-0 at Villa. I'll go with you on that one, Ed. Crystal Palace, they go to Swansea. They go to Wales. What an opportunity for Palace, right? Because Swansea they're just not the same when they play Thursday mornings after a Sunday night. They're not the same when they play Sunday nights after a Thursday night. I'm confusing myself. It's Friday night, come on. And I don't think they will be the same here. I think Crystal Palace comes away with a win here, 2-0. A 2-0 win for Palace because Swansea is really held down by those European commitments. Europa League is it's a challenge. It is a very serious challenge. Something Sunderland could very well be looking at next season. I think it would be difficult for them to be in Europe. Something Sunderland will be looking at. The other Europa League team whose match is now moved is Tottenham. Tottenham hosts Cardiff City. They will run away with this one. It is a 3-0 win for Spurs. There you have it. There it is. The weekend almost upon us. Big thanks to Ian Joy. Those are your Barclays Premier League predictions. My name is Danny Page. Nick Gieber out for the next week. I'll be with you all next week long. But we're going to take a break and close out the show. It's WSR right here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Quick time out. We'll be right back, guys. Welcome back, World Soccer Radio. My name is Danny Page, the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Great to have you guys with us today. Ian Joy, dude, what a guy. Love that guy. All right, I'll be with you guys all next week. We're going to really delve into the Major League Soccer previews. We'll talk to two former MLS goalkeepers that are now television commentators for the Vancouver Whitecaps and the Montreal Impact. In the coming weeks, we'll talk to Glenn Davis, who is a TV broadcaster for the Houston Dynamo, Joe Tutino from the LA Galaxy. The list goes. Kate Scott from Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area, who covers the San Jose Earthquakes. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Jeff Crandall, my good buddy from the Chicago Fire, will be joining us on Monday. We have, a DC United journalist coming up next week. So really, we're just covering it all as far as MLS over the next few weeks. It is our comprehensive MLS preview. There will be a real considerable focus on the domestic game next week, which doesn't happen as much always on the show, but there is no European competition midweek next week. Maybe, it should be a quieter weekend in the Barclays Premier League, considering the Man City-Man United match is postponed because of the Cup final. So it's going to be a great week. A lot of domestic soccer talk, and hopefully you'll be with me Monday through Friday, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Danny Page. This is Sports Byline USA, the show, World Soccer Radio, Byline, of course, the network. It's been a pleasure being with you. Tweet us over the weekend. I'll be on Twitter following all the matches while Nick is out at World Soccer Radio, at World Soccer Radio. It is my distinct honor to be able to say Ron Barr is coming up next year on Sports Byline USA. Stick with us here, boys and girls, and we will see you next week. Enjoy the matches this weekend. Say what up to our boy Ian Joy. Follow him on Twitter. And enjoy. Have a safe and fun weekend out there. Good night, everybody.
Hey, Danny, have a good weekend, man.
Thank you,